Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to another Skyrim Creation Kit tutorial video. Today we're going to be working with a teleportation spell. Now I say spell, but you can use this in any sort of application like activators or trigger boxes that you enter, and you can fire this off any other sort of way that you like. You can take this script and apply it to different sort of things, but today we're going to be working with spells. I'm having a bit of a spell theme going on at the moment. I'm going to be showing you how to create a magic effect and then a spell with the magic effect on it and a book. Now I'm not going to go through and cover everything to do with magic effects. If you do want to know about magic effects, then I've recently done a tutorial just before this one, which I'll leave a link to in the description. Go and check that out first if you like, and there'll be some other sort of spell tutorials along with that one, which will cover things in more depth. But today is more about the script. So this is actually the fourth video in my tutorial scripting series, and it's all about teleportation. So enough rambling, let's get on with it. To get started, like I say, we're going to need our own magic effect, and rather than create one from scratch, I'm going to sort of cheat. Now what I'm going to go and do is find the restore health magic effect, which is, let's go with that one. I'm going to find one that is on self, so this one is restore health self. This is just to sort of quickly snag some rough settings from the magic effect. If we just go in and take a look, so I'll already have some nice effects and stuff which I have preset for me, so I haven't got to mess around with them. It's not going to match sort of teleportation, but it's just there and it cuts down some of the time. So we've got two ways of doing our magic effects here. If you do want to create one from scratch, that's fine, just go new. And if you do want to copy one that's existing, you've got these two options. The first option is to open it like this, change the ID, and when you go to confirm, say yes, create a new form, so you don't overwrite the current one. The other way is to alternate click and duplicate it, edit that version, and then obviously do it that way. The way I'm going to do it is the first way. I'm going to rename this, and I'm just going to mention something in a moment because we're going to be attaching a script to this. I'm going to call this DF127 teleport effect. So if I just go for the name, teleport effect. Oh, can't type. Oh, okay, teleport effect, there we go. Now before I go any further, I'm going to confirm my new ID. Now the reason I'm doing this is when we get to the point where we've filled all this in and then we go ahead and we go and add our script, what we tend to do is we add the script, we've set it all up, we confirm, and we think it's all good and we can go ahead and continue. That's actually wrong because the Creation Kit's got another little bug, and basically what it does is if you are editing an existing sort of ID and making your own, you'll fill everything in, it'll remember most of the settings, but the one thing it'll actually forget is the script. So as an example, I could fill all of this in, and then when I go to click OK, it says create new form, yes, because I'm editing an existing one, I don't want to overwrite the health spell. I'll copy that, and then when I went back into that, if I'd have added the script, it would have kicked the script off. Not sure why it does it, it just forgets it, and you have to basically confirm the creation of the item, then go back in, add your script, and it should be fine. Excuse me. Whoa, 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 that was bad. Teleport, there we go. Knock off the D. So if we go back into our magic effect now, we should be good to go. So I can add a script now and it'll stay on there. So if I'd have reopened it like this, it would have disappeared. Not sure why it happens, but it does. It would have remembered everything else there. So we're going to go through and we're going to make the changes that we need to make to force this to work alongside a script. So under the effect archetype, you want to select script. Casting type, well, this is entirely up to you. I want this to be fire and forget. In a teleport script sort of sense, for a teleport spell, fire and forget's probably really the only one you're going to use, really. I mean, it's not a concentrated spell, and it's certainly not going to be something that keeps happening over and over. So delivery type, this one is really entirely up to you. These are explained in my tutorial I mentioned before. So on self, this is going to activate on us. So it's going to teleport the player, really. That's the one we're going to be using, but you could have it on contact, so it could be sending a target off to somewhere. I'll mention that a bit more when we go into editing the script. You could have it aim, target actor, target location, so you're pointing where you want to teleport or where you want to teleport something or someone else. We're not going to go into too much detail, just the basics, and you can go from there. But for the minute, we're going to go self. Now magic skill, I suppose it's more alteration than anything. You can set this up to whatever you like. You want it applicable to what it is. One thing just to note is the name. This is not going to be the name of the spell in the user interface, so when you go to select the spell, it's not going to be what's ever in here, it's going to be whatever is in spell, and I'll cover that when we go and make that. So we're going with script, fire and forget, on self, minimum skill level, that's more to do with NPCs I do believe. Association type, we haven't got one, so I'm going to skip down, not cover too much of this. The important parts that we need, it's not a restore health anymore, so get rid of that keyword. You can keep colourful in though, I don't think it makes much difference. And what we're going to want is no duration, no area and no magnitude, because we don't have to set any of that for a teleport spell. It doesn't have any of those required. You can tweak the other tick boxes how you like. The one that I would recommend having is painless, so that the player or the target doesn't sort of shout out in pain thinking it's hurt them, because it isn't something that hurts you at all. Unless you had that in there. And we want to go along, we could set target conditions, we're not going to go ahead and bother with that. Magic description we can set up. So teleports the player somewhere nice, we'll just leave it at that. And I'll leave all the sounds and casting effects. So the thing that we're going to want is script, so I'm going to click add. You might get an error if you use one of the sort of DLCs. I think Dawn Guard throws up a script error. Just click to yes to all if you get that. You only get that once per load up of the kit. And we would want to go ahead and double click new script. So if you haven't seen the previous videos on my scripting, then please go ahead and watch that, because I'm not going to recover everything about scripting. But what I'm basically going to do here is use one that I typed up earlier just to sort of save time. There it is. So if we edit that source, what I'm going to do, I'm not actually going to use this script, so we'll go add. What you will be doing is creating your own, so we'll make our own script for this. Give it a few seconds, let that show. Edit our source, paste that in. We don't want that line though, that's from the old script name. There we go. So you're going to want an object reference. This is going to be where you're going to be targeting your spell at. Now I did mention that you could do something a little different here to do with the delivery. If you wanted to have this hit an actor, so say you wanted to teleport an enemy to oblivion, you could have them teleport to a spell, sort of a cell somewhere away, or stick them in the void and have them go and die. You could teleport them somewhere, so you could have this awesome spell that hits the target and teleports that target. So as you can see here, we've got sort of game.getPlayer.move to, so this is saying that we're going to be moving the player. Now if you look at our event here, it's actually got AK target and AK caster, the AK caster most likely being the player in this case, and the target being what it hits. So you would just simply replace game.getPlayer, so rather than moving the player, we'd be moving the target, so it's going to move whatever this spell hits. So this spell would have to be a sort of projectile, so as I said, delivery system would have to be different. But for this, we're just going to be teleporting the player. It's nice and simple, but you can start to get the idea of the kind of things you can do there. Now I'm just going to explain what the event here is on effect start. Now in my scripting tutorial series so far, I've just used on activate, and that's not the case here. This script needs to fire off along with the sort of magic effect. And as you can see, because I've created the script on the magic effect itself, it's actually got extends active magic effect rather than object reference. That's really important that it says that. So it'll do that automatically, like I say, if you make the script on the magic effect. Now on effect start, that means that this is going to fire off when the effect of the sort of spell starts, so when this happens. You've also got on effect finish, which you can use, and I'll leave a link to the Creation Kit Wiki. It has a list of all the events that you can sort of use. Really good site. But you could have this fire off when it finishes, so you could have something happen at the start of the effect and then something happen at the end of the effect, so you can use multiple events if you wanted. That'd be cool, but we're just going to have the one. So as soon as this fires off, we're going to teleport the player. Now you mentioned I said as soon as it fires off, that means that the moment you fire that off in your hand, it's going to teleport the player. So I've put a little utility.wait 1.5, which is in seconds, so it's going to give the magic effect enough time to play all of our sort of nice visuals and sounds. Lets those fire off so we can see that before it sends the player. It's a really nice idea. And I've also added a fade out game sort of thing, so it fades the screen black. That'll be sort of for a, I think that's for 2 seconds. So it keeps faded for 2 seconds over a 1 second sort of fade period. Game.getPlayer.moveTo, like I said, first thing that you do is you move the player. So lock 01 is where you want to move them to, so you'd usually place down an object reference, which we'll do in a moment when we set up our properties. So we place them down an object reference and we say go there, so that's when you want to direct a specific location. Game.enable fast travel, this is going to help if you want your followers to go with you. So if you want your followers to be teleported with the player, you're going to want these 2 lines. If you don't want the followers teleported with the player, so say it might be a certain quest line where your followers don't get to join you and you're zapped there and your followers don't follow, that'd be great. But if you do want followers to come with you when you teleport, you want to leave these 2 lines. Enable fast travel is so if you were to be within an interior cell, fast travel is not usually allowed, so enabling it will let the spell work anywhere effectively. Game.fastTravel lock 01, this is just the same sort of thing, so it can hopefully calculate the distance if you're in 2 exterior cells. So if you're going from one exterior cell, so somewhere in a world space, to another place in the same world space, sometimes, and it's a bit weird, it's a bit buggy, sometimes it will try to calculate the distance. So maybe if you were using this teleport script for a boat to send you somewhere, you would want it to sort of calculate how long that took, so you would want to include that. So that's another thing to do with those 2 lines, is the fast travel one will try to calculate the distance as well. So I think that is pretty much it. That explains the script. So we'd Control and S to save it. It should compile fine. If it hasn't compiled, recheck everything over. You might have made a slight error somewhere. And as for our properties, we're just going to confirm that for the minute and come back to it. We're going to want an object reference, somewhere that we're going to teleport the player. So in this case, we're going to go with something completely boring, and we're going to teleport them to Riverwood. So I think we're going to want to go Tamriel. And Riverwood. Yes to all on all the wonderful error messages we all get. Now, just to sort of speed things up a little, I'm going to probably just point at an existing marker. Shouldn't really affect anything. There we go, one of these markers, doesn't matter which. It's just going to speed up the process. So fill in the property, pick the reference, that marker. Now you could use my other tutorials in terms of the menu system, and you could have different locations with a menu saying where would you like to go. You could have that happen on the spell, you could have it on an activator. So now it's just about sort of taking everything from the series and everything you've learned, and you can start to sort of splice it together and make some really cool stuff. But we're just going to go straight to one location. That's set. So we've got the magic effect, but we need a spell. It needs to be attached to an actual spell that you can fire off. So we want to go spell, and we're all good to just go new with this one, and we're going to call it DF127 teleport spell. Now I said that the magic effect name wasn't anything to do with the spell name. This name is. This is the actual spell name that will show in the user interface, so we want teleport spell for this. I will be doing a tutorial which covers spells sort of in depth, but so I'm not going to go through that now. And we're going to go fire and forget. Again, concentration, constant effect really aren't applicable here. So fire and forget needs to match your magic effect, otherwise it won't show in the window. So self, we'll go new, and DF127, and we should get a teleport effect. There it is. And as you can see, like I said, we don't need magnitude, duration, area, just no need for it at all. Menu display, if you type in a MAG, then these are usually the ones here that are the nice magical effects that you see on the user interface. So in this case it's an alteration spell, use that. You could use anything else. So either hand. And casting perk, again this is more aimed toward NPCs. You could just set it to alteration and we'll make it an adept spell. I think this also reflects the spell, it actually knows that it is the sort of level on it. So usually when you look at a spell in your user interface, it tells you if it's an adept one or a master one, so that will actually affect that, or the magic effect might. It's one or the other. So just set them both to sort of the around the spell level that you think it should be. Auto calculate. If you leave this ticked, it will try and calculate it, and as you can see, because it's a scripted sort of magic effect, it's got no idea how powerful it is. So if you want to untick that and you want to set it to 0.5, this is how long it takes to charge up in your hands. So you could make this like 3 seconds or something, just to really irritate people, so they really have to charge up to teleport. Maybe have the that as a sort of balancing thing, so maybe you don't want people to be able to just quickly flick the teleport to get out of battle easily. Maybe you want there to be some sort of downside to it, so you can set that to 3 seconds. We're going to leave it at 0.5. And the spell cost, just remember when you're setting up spell cost, take into account obviously the level you've set it to, and the fact that certain characters might get perks, certain races might get perks, so it's not necessarily going to be exactly what you set it to. So we might say 300, but a Breton could cost it for half that maybe. But I'm just going to put it to 1 for testing purposes, make things easier. And we don't really need to tick any of these boxes. Description, whatever description you were to put in here would overwrite whatever description you put in the magic effect, but we've put one in the magic effect, so it's going to use that if this isn't filled in, so there's no need to fill anything in there. You could add additional effects to this spell, but we're not going to. We're going to click OK. And now we need a way to learn it. So you could use console commands and chuck it in if you wanted, but if we want this to be sort of fitting in with the game, we're going to look for an alteration spell tome. So it'll automatically have a model on it and everything. We haven't got to bother setting that. So we'll copy one of these. Spell tome. I think I said tome before. Anyway, spell tome, teleport, and this is obviously the name of the book, and the value and the weight. Not going to bother changing those. And you want to make sure that you tick spell, because this is going to teach us our spell. Now because it's going to teach us a spell, there's absolutely no need for anything in the book text, because you don't actually get to open it and read it. And we're just going to go with DF127 teleport spell. And that should be about it. Again, you can put a description if you want, you can play around with it, make sure it's vendor, item, book. All this is already set if you copy an existing one. It's already got sort of the inventory art and the actual mesh. We'll go click OK, create new form, yes, because we didn't duplicate it and we don't want to overwrite the original. And now all it is to do is put the book into the world. So again, I'm going to be really boring, and I'm just going to stick it on a rock over here. So if we grab our book, put it in. You could put this into sort of leveled item lists and all that, so it'd appear on vendors and things like that. But this is purely about the scripting and getting the spell to work, so we're going to leave it on there. And we'll set don't havoc, and we'll add a havoc script so it doesn't get going anywhere. This is just going to stop it from moving or anyone knocking it. So when we show up, it's actually going to be there, hopefully. And that'll be that. We're going to save our plugin. Now we're going to go in game, and we should have a fully working spell. Okay, so here we are with some good old British weather, and Findel's with me just to test the follower part of the script, as we've set it up for followers to go with us. And I've already taken the liberty of learning the spell, and we should show up in Riverwood now. There we go. So Findel's with us, all works, really nice. And time doesn't seem to have passed. Like I said, it's a bit weird that is, but never mind. The teleport spell works, and the idea is to teleport you instantaneously anyway. So like I said, you can attach this to all sorts of different sort of things. So it could be activators, menu systems, anything like that. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. I will be continuing my scripting tutorial series as well, and going into much more in-depth things like people have been asking for. So please leave comments, let me know what you think. Hit the like button if you haven't, and the subscribe button if you haven't already, and visit my antisocial websites and my main website. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.